Well.
So here's my question. You were just talking about homosexuality, the marriage thing. I know James called in, and I heard you guys for the last few weeks talking about it. My question is this.
It's a big issue with him, so. Yeah.
When you allow, no, that's not a better way to say it. When you, and I know I've talked to you guys before about the ultimate standard, where to get your ultimate standard. You guys feel like that there's nothing wrong. Two consenting male adults want to get married, that's great, have your relationship, that's fine. And that's your opinion, and you think everybody's opinion should count. If you're not hurting anybody, whatever you just deem as being good.
Okay.
What about if I decide I want to marry a 12-year-old boy? Why is that wrong?
Because, okay, why it's wrong is
if he's consenting.
The mistake you're making, okay, is that homosexuality is not the same thing as pedophilia.
Oh, I'm not comparing the two.
You are comparing the two. Yes, you are.
I'm just saying, what if I think that's okay?
No, okay. You are making the comparison between the two. You said, well, if you guys think that it's okay for two adult males to get married, what about a pedophile?
Well, you need to understand my analogy doesn't have anything to do with homosexuality.
Yes, and the problem with it is that if you have two adults consenting to it, you have two adults who can make an informed decision about what to do with their life.
And a child can't?
The 12-year-old child most likely can't make as good a decision about how to spend their life as a 22-year-old.
Yeah, come on. I mean,
why is that wrong?
Because the 12-year-old can't make an informed decision.
Yeah.
That 22-year-old who wants to be with that 12-year-old could be coercing them in some way. They could be convincing them in some way.
Yes.
And we have to protect the kid from, sexual predators.
We understand how emotional maturity develops in people.
Right.
And this is why there is a period of your life that's called childhood and a period of your life that's called adolescence.
And that's why there are laws to protect
No, I think you're misunderstanding my question. I hear you why it's wrong, but if there is no God, we can decide truth for ourselves. Why, in and of itself, is it wrong? Don't tell me why I think because the kid doesn't know and
hang on.
all these societal views why it's wrong. I know it's wrong, but as an atheist, if I say, you know what, that's what I want to do, why can you say it's wrong?
Can I take this one?
Please.
Okay. What you're saying, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that because we don't believe in God, why don't we just go ahead and
have no standards,
shack up with a 12-year-old because because there is no higher being that's going to say, hey, that's bad.
Yes.
Okay. Well, just because we're atheists, it doesn't mean that we don't believe there should be societal standards.
Well, why should there be?
Well, because I don't want to, I don't want people going. Let me
Mary, my head's about to explode.
I know, mine too.
Me and you are just alike, my man, because we just like to argue. I don't mean argue, but just talk and dialogue.
No, but I'm
Spirited debate.
I'm so glad you bring up the point, because we get this a lot.
Right.
It's like, you're atheist, why don't you go out and murder people, right?
Right.
Well,
not murder, but just do what you want. Hey, if somebody's got a car that you want, take it.
All right. The problem is that, just because I don't believe in God, it doesn't mean that I want to go out and shack up with a 12-year-old. And it doesn't mean that I want to see other people do that, because I don't want to hurt 12-year-olds. And I don't know of anybody, who has any kind of belief in humanity and other people, why they would want to injure somebody in that way.
Because ultimately, why is that wrong?
Hang on, Mary.
You're trying to put this in a spiritual realm.
No, this has nothing to do. This has to do with truth.
Everybody, it's the host's turn.
Okay, go ahead.
Actions have consequences.
Absolutely.
3 words, deal with it. That's where standards come from.
I agree with that. But what you think is that there's a big man in the sky that makes rules for us to follow that are rigid and inflexible. That has nothing to do with actions have consequences, because if the big man in the sky's rules override everything, then he could say, thou shalt go up and shack up with 12-year-olds, and then that would be his rule. But that would go against his nature.
How do you know what his nature is?
Because his nature is revealed in the Bible.
Okay, so and how do you know that the Bible is accurate?
You haven't told me
how do you know that the Bible is accurate?
Yes, I think the Bible is 100% accurate.
Because of what?
Because of the fact-finding that I've done, the research I've done, it has never been proven false, ever.
What research would that be?
Well, I mean,
Wait a minute. How do you know what the nature of God is?
Well, I'm not arguing whether or not the Bible is true or false.
Well,
I
am now, because you're trying to use the Bible. You're trying to use the Bible to back up your points. So I do want to argue whether or not the Bible is true, because I have practical reasons for my moral standards. Actions have consequences.
So give me an example.
Certain things. You shoot somebody, they die.
Right.
Duh. Okay.
So why is that bad?
Hey, if you can't see it, that's your problem.
That's not what I'm asking. You're not saying why the action in and of itself is bad.
Look, wait a minute. No. Why is being dead bad?
Yes.
You don't know that?
If that's the end. If you die, there's no God. You die. Who cares if we die? We're all going to die anyway. What does it matter when you die?
I care if I die. If you don't care if you die, that's your problem. Okay,
no,
that's your right to do that.
Okay, let me use a different example. Do you think it would be okay
wait. If
to get all the invalids and get all the homeless people, since they're bringing, they're not reproducing,
okay, wait,
they're not making society stronger, can you just kill them?
I want to get back to... I don't know where you're getting these loony ideas from. I want to get back...
That's you can take it to any extreme, and you
take
can't
what
say
to
why
take what
it's wrong. As an atheist, if I'm an atheist,
no,
say, you know what,
you can't take things to any
right.
extreme if you're a rational person. You have to look at the individual situation and say to yourself, what would be the consequences of doing this act? If the consequences aren't beneficial, don't do it. It ain't rocket science, but apparently it is to guys like you.
No, I'm saying for me. Let's just pretend me. Just use me as an example. I'm walking down the street, and I am homeless. I've got no money, no food. I see someone that has it. I need to live. I kill this person, take what they have for me. Now, how can you, as an atheist, look at that act and say that's wrong?
Because you killed a man.
Without there being something other than your opinion of what's right. I'm not disagreeing with what's right or wrong.
Because you killed a man, right?
That.
You took a person's life, right?
Yes, but why is that wrong in and of itself? You think it's wrong because it ends a life. I agree with you. But without, as an atheist, your view is no better than my view.
Okay, that may be correct. Let's bring this home. Do you want to get killed?
Do I want to get killed? Absolutely not.
Yeah. Okay.
But that doesn't make it bad.
Let's stop there. I personally also agree with you. I don't want to die. I enjoy my life too much. I got good friends. I got people I love. I got, my cat at home. I got reasons to live.
And ferrets.
Yeah. Ferrets too. Yeah. I got many reasons to live, and I don't want my life to end. You don't want to die. No. I don't want to die. Why don't we make an agreement that to get along in society and to make the world a better place, I won't kill you if you won't kill me. I won't take your stuff if you won't take mine, because I also like my stuff too, and I assume that you do too.
Yeah, and that sounds great.
We make up these rules because we have to live together in a society.
Harmoniously.
And so we make up rules so that we can do that and not be in constant conflict. Yeah, that's why we do it.
We have rules so that we can get along as a species and as a society, because if we didn't have these rules, we'd all be dead.
Right.
It's very simple.
But if we were dead, who cares? We're an accident anyway. That's the point.
I enjoy my life. I don't want to be dead.
Mark, hold the names where I can see them, please.
Mark.
Don't keep twisting them around.
It's Mark. You're right.
Mark.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the concept called empathy?
Yes.
Okay, so then why can't you apply it to your own arguments?
Because here's the problem, and this is my whole basis, is you can take slavery. The majority thought that was the right thing to do, but it was still not right. It was wrong.
Yes, and how was it supported, incidentally? How was it supported?
You're calling what I'm saying
Wait a minute, religion was biblically supported by those people who supported it, okay? See, religion is the thing that people get to use to justify whatever they want to do.
I don't believe in religion. Religion is man's attempt to reach
Secularism,
God.
Secular morality makes sense because it has to do with actions having consequences. It's an observable fact. It's easy to get. It ain't rocket science. You're making a big complicated issue out of something that's not complicated at all. That's the only problem. We have got to get to our next caller.
Okay, well, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Mark.
Boy, this is so... wow, man.
I don't know why it's hard for people to understand why atheists can't be, rational human beings.
Because they have a belief. No, it's beyond that. They have a belief system that says people are evil. Christianity hates people. Christianity is the most misanthropic belief system in the world. Christianity says all people are corrupt, bad sinners.
If you did not have God to hold onto your reins, you would go out there and kill and murder simply because you got nothing better to do with your day.
That is what is at the root of the belief system, is this blanket misanthropy that says even, I have argued with Christians over email, where they have used their own infants as examples of the innate sinful nature of human beings.
What?
Their own baby's behavior as why it is people are evil to the core. When you
That's
have
so ridiculous.
when you have a belief system like that, that says, and the only way you can't be that way, the only way you get to rise above being this horrible evil sinner who would go out like a complete libertine and do murder and do crimes and do this and do that, is if you have this God in your life, and if you have Jesus in your life, and if you go to our church, and if you put your money in our collection plates, and if you become a member of the club. Religion has staked a claim for centuries on morality. It has staked a claim on that aspect of the human existence, of the human experience. That is why so many people in the religious community cannot simply accept the idea that without religion a person can be good. That's what it has to do with it. It has to do with a very strict process of indoctrination that has gone on for centuries and centuries and centuries. And then people end up with all this cognitive dissonance and confusion when suddenly you have Catholic priests molesting children. There are no headlines in the news today, folks, about, you know, atheist suicide bomber does this, that, or the other. Atheist, you know, molests priests in a confessional. Atheists do this, that, you know.
And that's not to say
atheists
that, you know,
tie gay man to fence and beat him to death.
And this is not to say that all atheists are perfect morally.
Right.
That's true. That's true. But when you see these horrible atrocities taking place in the news,
it's not in the name of atheism, folks.
yeah, you know,